Right, well, we've pulled everything, so good luck, everyone. I'm focusing this guy down. Well, I think we've wiped, because we have just grabbed way too many people here. You stay there. You die. You are close enough to death. It's just me! Good luck, everyone! Let's open the old book and sprint away. Well, we didn't do that. That's fine. One fled into the rest. Sorry, guys, my bad. I'm going to take it slow. This room needs you to go slow. That's fine. We release, we do it again. But you're doing okay. But it's a learning process. You can hide in combat and survive. The DPS didn't kill the running mob. Yeah, that was my fault. Couldn't catch up to it. I can't hide in combat yet because I don't have Vanish. I'm level 21. I believe I get Vanish at level 22? Because I don't think I've got Vanish. Subtlety. Yeah, I don't have Vanish yet. You wouldn't have wiped if you didn't use Questy. That's true, because I wouldn't be here. You keep starting new characters. Is that because you hate the others and never want to think about them? Yeah. Why did you pick the PvE server? Because I enjoy PvE. I would enjoy rather having a chilled out gaming session with friends and the guild where we attempt to take on the dungeons and we attempt to take on all the challenges that the game designers have put in there for us without having to worry about the hassle of PvP. What a casual, says Ken. Yeah, that's the point. I mean, don't worry, a lot of people do ask why I've picked PvE with this kind of air of you should have picked PvP, it's the superior way to play the game. I like having to just enjoy and experience the game without needing to worry about other people trying to harass my playtime. Now, people have this kind of attitude of why aren't you playing PvP and why aren't you playing hardcore? And they approach it as if you aren't doing that, you are not worthy of playing the game. Which personally I think sucks. It's very silly. It is. If you were on a PvP server, yeah, people would have to, they'd be constantly attacking me. Oh yeah, the exact people that are saying you should play on a PvP server are the people who, if I was playing on a PvP server, would be hunting me down and trying to kill me. No doubt. No doubt in my mind at all. Are there games where you find choices hinder your ability to play, like you get so caught up in what to choose, you don't? I think I struggled with that when I first started playing Path of Exile, and the best thing about Path of Exile was that you know that even if you make the wrong choice, you're going to make it again in a couple of weeks' time, so that's fine. Been a viewer on YouTube for a few years, have a question. Played MMOs for a good portion of the time you've been alive. The ones you spend the most in are the middle-class MMOs, which makes me think, is the problem with MMO developers and communities that we have high expectations. You have to ask yourself, what do you want to spend your time doing? It's not that we have high expectations, it's people think that a solution will be achieved if we just change one or two things. If we just make an MMORPG with amazing graphics, people will play it. If we just make the best combat system, people will play it. If we just do this, people will play it. An MMO is a community. You make a community of players, and then people will come and join in. You make a game that gives the community what they want. You also have to say, what is a new MMORPG doing that other games aren't? With single-player games, you're telling a story that hasn't been told before. You're exploring mechanics that haven't been told before. You are, giving the player a new game kind of thing that hasn't been done before. There's lots of different things that you can do. With an MMORPG, we're often just giving people the same things repeatedly again and again and again and again and again. So what is there that is new? PvP works if it's what you want out of the game. Yeah, I'm not saying if you like PvP, you're wrong with that. If you like PvP, you are right for liking PvP. I love PvP, but not in MMORPGs. And the reason for this is that MMORPGs are designed around gaining an unfair amount of power and engaging in battles that have an advantage on one side or the other. They are designed to be unfair. That's the point. You are not using exactly the same items and equipment as your opponents, and that's by design. I like it so when PvP happens, there is either a kind of equal, an opposite, or even if not an exact equal and opposite, there is at least a balanced equal and opposite. Like, I like Command & Conquer, but I like the fact that GDI and NOD have differences within their design, but they are designed to appeal to the other person's weaknesses and strengths. I think PvP works in games where the balance is designed to encourage fair fights. Asymmetrical balance is fine. Balance is fine. The thing with MMORPG PvP is you are literally trying to get better weapons than your opponent, so when you engage in PvP, you have an advantage. And if the purpose of your combat system is to be manipulated in your favor, so the numbers are giving you an advantage before your skill even comes into it, I don't think that's fun. I don't want to beat someone because my numbers are higher than theirs. I want to beat someone because I used the correct skills and made the correct choices against them. I think the reason, and I'm going to sound horrible with this, but I think the reason so many people like engaging in world PvP in MMORPGs that allow you to make the system imbalanced in your favor is because they just want to bully someone. It's a power fantasy. That's what it is. It would be like playing a Call of Duty game where as soon as the game starts, one team have all of the best weapons and the other team don't. I don't like that. To me, that isn't a fun experience either way. I wouldn't enjoy being on either side of that balance. And you know, some people want that. Some people want to say, right, our team is fighting their team and our team is better geared, bigger, more powerful. We're going to win. It's going to be a one-way war in our favor. All right, if that's what you want, cool. Personally, I don't particularly enjoy engaging in that. If you want to engage in that kind of competition, go for it. But I think games that build themselves entirely around that struggle to keep players because they don't fully understand that when half your player base is just constantly being killed, they're going to leave. Isn't that the historical reality of humans, though? Yeah, of course it is rated M for manly, which is why I don't want to bring it into my fun gaming time. I think one of the worst things to happen to gaming was that it became ultra competitive. I dislike the fact that gaming became competitive and then it became super hardcore, and then you had to kind of prove your gaming credentials by playing in a more difficult, more time-consuming, more skill-intense way than somebody else. And if you didn't do that, you were a less worthy gamer. I hate that. I think it's taking a fun hobby and turning it into some kind of gatekeepy test. Wasn't the first game competitive? Pong. It was called Tennis for Two, and it was done on the screen. But the thing about Tennis for Two was the first game, it was entirely balanced. Yeah, if you didn't finish Dark Souls this way, you didn't really finish Dark Souls. That's silly. Yeah, gaming has turned into a rite of passage to be able to prove yourself because we don't have those kind of trials outside of various cultures. Thoughts on OSRS PvP? Not a massive fan of it. Like I said, I'm not a fan of any PvP that effectively thrives on the imbalances created before the contact happens. That's what it is. What gets to me is there are certain games where you put in time and effort and energy and sometimes money before the fight happens in order to give yourself an advantage in the fight. I don't like that. I like sitting down and knowing that when the fight starts, me and my opponent have roughly the same resources. That, to me, I prefer that. He just doesn't like PvP, lol. Teddy Picker, listen to my words. I understand that this might be quite difficult for you, but just listen. I like competitive gaming. I like playing games with a human as my opponent. But in order to do that, the framework around that competition has to ensure that me and that other person both have an element of fairness within the competition that we're taking part in. Does that make sense? I love competitive Magic the Gathering. But if I'm going to sit down and you're going to play your Legacy or Vintage deck against my Jumpstart booster packs, you're going to win. Because that has not been designed to be fair for both of us, to be within a balance. It's why there's weight classes in boxing. I love competition. I am a very competitive person, which is why it's important to me that the nature of competition remains balanced. What's my stance on PvP and MMORPGs? It is inherently unfair by its nature. If an MMORPG is about gathering power and holding onto it, and PvP is about being fair, these two things are often in disharmony. I like the idea of PvP games. I love the idea of keeping, player versus player within stuff. However, player versus player is often at its most fun when the two players are of an equal either skill level or power level, because then skill comes into it. If an MMORPG is focused on allowing you to gather power and then engage in a player versus player fight with someone who is of lower power than you deliberately because you want to use the gained power to put yourself in a position of power over them, then that inherently is unfair. The idea of engaging in that is you are trying to make it unfair before you even start. And that doesn't particularly stand out to me. Now, I like PvP within games like Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2 or even endgame PvP at World of Warcraft. That's fine. That's totally fine. but that's because it's about encountering someone on an equal playing field. The reason that I dislike PvP in games like, for example, Mortal Online, is because they are designed to be unfair. They are designed that you can gather power that somebody else doesn't have, and then use that to win the fight. And if PvP players like that, totally fine. That's up to them, you know? That's just how they want to do things. Personally, I like it when any kind of PvP competition is done with a level of equality and fairness. That's why MOBA games have effectively, in many ways, replaced the PvP that people used to do in MMORPGs, because the start of the MOBA game resets everyone to a relatively neutral standing. And that seems to be really popular with what people want. Now, I'm not a big MOBA fan, but I can totally understand the balance within it. People like the fact that MOBAs do start every game balanced. And you can argue about the unbalancing of the classes and the difference in skills between players, but the balance of the classes gets addressed and the skill between players, that's what matters. I don't know enough about extraction shooters to really talk on them, to be honest. But I think what often happens with MMORPGs is you end up in the situation of people going, oh, you know, you're going to step out the starting area and straight away we're going to have all of these, you know, super high levels gank this super low level. That's PvP. You should just enjoy that. No. That's not enjoyable or fun for anyone kind of doing this. I think PvP, and again, I'm not a big PvP guy. I think from the PvP players that I've met, a lot of them like the fact that they can make an encounter inherently unfair. PvP players that I've engaged with often don't engage within the PvP unless they are within an unfair advantage. And again, part of me gets it, because, as horrible as it sounds, it's fun to be the person in the powerful position. It's fun to be the person who is able to have all the power and all the mates with you and, you know, win in those unfair situations. That's fine. Yeah, you get twinked out and you go and kill some brand new players and you're like, haha, yeah, I've won at PvP. And then you have to sit back and be like, but what have I really done? So yeah, I don't find that fun. No issue with imbalance. Problem I have is people that make their goal to make your experience miserable. Yeah, but it's the imbalance that makes it miserable. If PvP was not inherently imbalanced within several things, then you would be able to at least fight back. It's when you end up in a PvP situation that you are unable to fight back from that brings the misery. But I'm not a PvP guy, so my opinion on that doesn't matter as much. I don't think that you are a skilled player for beating someone that you have an inherent advantage against. If you are giving yourself an advantage against someone and then fighting them specifically because you have an advantage against them, instead of trying to find someone that you have no advantage against and trying to beat them, or at least are on equal footing with. That I like. People assume that I don't like competitive PvP games because I don't like PvP within MMORPGs. That's not true. I love competitive PvP games, but I also like it when there is a level of balance between the person I'm fighting and me. When there is a level of, not necessarily fairness, but the word is balance. There's a reason that there are weight classes in boxing. I love real-time strategy games. I don't mind if I lose at a real-time strategy game against a friend of mine, as long as I know that we both started from a fair position. I don't mind if I lose at Tekken. I don't care if I win at Tekken. As long as we are both starting from a balanced, fair position, and we get to effectively understand that it's our choices within the moment that have helped us win or lose, great. What I dislike is knowing that when the PvP thing starts, one of us has an advantage or a disadvantage. It's like saying, hey, I'm going to play Magic the Gathering, but I'm going to play my competitive Legacy deck, and you're going to play a store-bought intro pack. Well, the Legacy deck's going to win. If it doesn't win, it's going to be because of pure luck. And if it does win, it's going to be because that's exactly what it's been designed to do. Sounds fair, but boring. Also, it depends what you find boring. If you think that approaching a competition with someone who is on the same skill level as you is boring, then it's interesting to you a competition with an inherently unbalanced aspect to it. Because if that's what you like, that's what you like. I'm not going to say you're wrong for doing that. I'm saying I've got no interest in it. Satisfying to gear your character in Battlegrounds back in the day, yeah, that's fine. But I think the reason that so many PvP-focused MMOs fail is the fact that people forget that it's fun to win and not fun to be absolutely ganked with no way of fighting back. People that want PvP MMORPGs often realize that if they're playing it for weeks and just getting absolutely ganked by everyone else, they're going to stop playing it. As an EVE player, just bring more friends to the PvP. Lucino, I get that, but you have to understand what you're saying is, if this battle isn't fair, make it unfair in our favor. And I'm absolutely, completely understanding that people like PvP that is unfair in their favor. But if you keep losing repeatedly, you're just going to leave the game. The game needs winners and losers. And when the winners snowball into more victories and the losers just get pushed down and down and down into, effectively consistent, persistent losing, not fun for them. I'll take a one from the guild bank then.